Hey everybody, my name's Noah, and as you may know, I'm a big Oswald the Lucky Rabbit fan and collector. I was on the Jim Hill podcast, I Want That Too, with Lauren Hershey, and I'd like to share all of my collection, but we're going to do it sections at a time because I have come to the point where it's time to dust and clean. So, if you may know, I usually have a bunch of figures on my top shelves. So today, that's what I'm going to feature. Everything that I keep on the top shelf, and I'm going to share that with you. And then each day, as I record and I clean, I'm going to go through every shelf, every drawer that I have with my Oswalds, and I'm going to share that with you. The first thing I'm going to have is actually one of the big items that if you're an Oswald fan, if you're a Disney collector, you might want to make sure you have one of these in your collection. And this was one of the big merch items, and you can see his ears are sticking out of the top of the box. One of the big merch things, the first things that Disney did when they got the rights back from Universal. So this figure, as you can tell, he's a gray tone, and the designs, I believe, were by Eric Goldberg. So a lot of these poses that you see on the boxes and in the pins were created by Goldberg to sort of standardize his modern Disney look once they acquired the rights. So don't be surprised if you see similar poses on other products. But this was one of the first big items. I believe it was this figure and a statue with a paintbrush, which you'll see eventually when I get to that shelf. I'll bring that one out as well. But this is one of the first big items with Oswald, and I'm glad that I got him back when he came out. So if you're an Oswald fan, if you're a Disney collector, try to track one of these down. They're wonderful plushes, and if you can get the box, try to do that. It's a little loose now, the box, because it's just been sitting here for ages. So I might use some glue tabs to sort of keep the edges from popping out, but it's still in great condition. I love this figure. This figure was actually based on an original design by Kevin Kidney and Jody Daly. As you may remember, they were Imagineers. They've worked on a number of floats, on attractions. They're still freelance designers. They do still a lot of work with Disney. And I told this story on the I Want That podcast, but before that figure was made, the plush, this is one of the two concept figures that they took to a Disney product. So you can tell it's based on an actual classic Oswald illustrations. He's got little cord whiskers, and I believe this is velvet material. So when they were selling a number of their items at auction, I put in a bid for this figure, but I was outbid. Actually, I was late by like a second or two. I had the exact same bid amount as the person that won the original. But they told Kevin and Jody that I had a matching bid, but it came in a split second late. And they said, well, they actually made two of these figures. So they offered to sell me the second one for the same price. The only difference is mine's doesn't have the little tag, the little sticker that they had when they took it to product. Other than that, it's an identical figure. So I'm never going to sell this one, so don't even ask. But this was sort of the prototype for the one that would become in the box. So let me put this aside. Now, the next one is, I believe, my biggest plush that I have. So this one's from Japan. And this is a big, as you can see, he's really loose. He's really floppy. But this is probably the biggest plush that they ever made of Oswald. I don't think I've seen anyone bigger. And here's the tag, and it's a Disney Store exclusive. And if I open it, I believe it's Japan. Yep, Japanese. So if you were lucky enough to get one from Japan or have a friend in Japan or a personal shopper, it's still gray in tone, light blue shorts, and just a huge figure. I did take this plush once to D23 when it was in Anaheim, and I had him on my backpack. And he sort of just had his arms over my shoulders sticking out, and nobody could believe they've never seen an Oswald this big before. I also took him the very first day that Oswald was at DCA, the Disney parks, and Oswald jumped up and clapped because I don't think he had ever seen this big plush. So this is probably the biggest plush you can land, other than a custom one if you get it. And then another one that I got. This is probably my second biggest. Might be tied with another one. Again, Tokyo parks. And I believe this one was from Eastern. No, that was a different one. Again, a Disney store. And this was actually a Sega, you can see. So this was a crane prize from those claw machines. So I don't know how big the machine would be to fit a figure this big, but you can see he's still a little bit floppy. And he's massive. So if you're a big Oswald fan, this is a great 2 set of plushes to get. I mean, look at the size of these. They're bigger than some toddlers. So huge plushes and great for collectors. The third biggest I got is this one. And this was actually the first of the plush figures from the Disney parks when they got the rights back in Japan. So before we got the merch in America, we actually got the first Oswald items in Japan. And this was from a collection where Oswald was in black and white shorts. He has a little brass name tag. And they made an entire collection. So this was like, they made an extra large, a medium, a small, and extra small. I have all of them. And you're going to see them eventually as the videos progress. But this was the biggest figure that they made. So it was circa 2006, I believe. So the very first plushes of Oswald were black and white in Japan, and they released them as a set. Now this was before personal shoppers or the eBay stores that sold online. I actually have a friend that lives in Japan, and I told him, hey, this exclusive set just came out. It's hundreds of dollars. I will gladly PayPal you the money if you can get these for me. And without a second thought, he went out and he got the whole set and he shipped them to me right away. And when I said, send me your PayPal, send me your bank information, he said, don't even worry about it. So to Steven, I say thank you. I still owe you. One of these days when I visit Japan, hope to treat you and your family out to dinner at the very least, because this was a wonderful gift. So if you're an Oswald fan and Oswald collector, look for the black and white figures. These are the oldest ones that were created once Disney got the rights back. So what else do I got? Let's see. This is one of the more recent ones. So this was for Disney's 100th. So hopefully everybody has one of these. And it's Oswald playing the banjo. How cute is this little guy? The banjo is actually a pillow. And it looks like he's singing out of the corner of his mouth. And the banjo is a little bit flexible. But how adorable is this figure? So this is a recent one, Disney 100th. So try to get you an Oswald playing a banjo. Now the next one, I think it was for D23. So this was a print. It might have been, I don't think Maruyama, or I don't remember the artist on this one. I apologize. I'm sure I'll be corrected in the YouTube comments. But if you're an Oswald fan, you'll actually see him right here in the top middle of the castle, hiding out there. So it's a really cute print. So try to track it down. And again, this was for part of the 100th. And if you're a D23 member, you should remember when this came out. So it's a cute print, very colorful. I got to get a frame for it, but it's in the plastic, thankfully. So what else do I have? Oh, I actually have a couple of bags that some items came with that were from Korea. I'm not going to show you the figures or the plushes that these came with, but I did save the bags because they were really cute. They're plastic bags. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit printed on them. The other one's a little bit more frosty. I think this got like a cotton thing inside. But again, it's an Oswald bag. So I kept those because they're really cute. Little drawstring plastic bags. I just found out the artist on the print. This was Eric Tan. I believe Eric also did the art on a pin and a figure. I believe it was like an Oswald Space pin and figure. Believe it or not, I don't have it as of the recording of this video. I might have it by the time I'm done cleaning up all of these. But Eric Tan was the artist. Now, I do have a number of Oswald ears. So the first probably public introduction of Oswald was back in the E3. And one of the things that they offered, and this was during Epic Mickey, I believe it was 2010's E3, they were actually offering custom Oswald ears for all of the guests. So as you can see, they even had a little tag for it. So you would write your name down, and a few hours later, they were cranking them out in the middle of the show floor. So we didn't know about it. We were at the pavilion of everybody at E3 has their own booths and stuff, and there was this big buzz, and we're like, well, what's going on? They were showing off Oswald, and then there was this line rapidly forming. So since it was Disney, I figured, well, they're giving away posters or something. So I got in line, and it turned out they were Oswald ears. So the 3 days that the E3 was in Los Angeles, I went back each day and got more ears for my wife, for my kid, for my family, for my friends. So this was my pair. And on the back, you can see it has my name, Noah. And on the bottom, it's actually just like in the Disney parks, it's engraved NOE, or stitched. So it was in the blue colors, similar to the Oswald blues in the Epic Mickey. So that was the one that was available on the show floor. And then once Oswald went to to Disney's California Adventure, then they made the classic red and white one. Now this tag actually belongs to a friend. So we got our friend Andrea, who's Italian. Hi Andrea, if you're watching this video, I have your tag. One of these days I'm going to get it to you for his ears that we got for him. But they made the red and white ones, which are closer to the classic Mickey Mouse ears. So I love this set. And there was another set. There were a few sets of ears that were made. This one, I think it was an employee or a D23 exclusive or something. So I think this was a cast member set, and it features Hortensia. So you can see Oswald and Hortensia up there. So if you're a big fan of Oswald's, you'll want to try to track down all of the ears if you can. This one, I don't know if you're ever going to find this one on the auction sites, but this was actually given to press for the release of Epic Mickey, and I believe it was Epic Mickey 2. So they Disney did a formal presentation in one of the ballrooms in the Disney Grand Cal, and so I got an invite thanks to Jim Hill. I was photographing for the event. Jim was covering it to write about it on his blog and later his podcast. So I was his guest, and I was taking pictures, watching the presentation by Warren Spector. And at the end of the presentation, we got a chance to play the game. I got to talk to some of the animators that worked on the game. And then as a special treat, they took all of the press to Club 33. And they revealed that every member of the press would get a copy of this print. And it was Sean Melchior, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Warren Spector. They autographed it. So Sean did the art and signed it, and so did Warren. So I was grateful that Jim Hill was able to give me the print that they sent to him. So it's a blessing. I have the certificate somewhere here, and it'll eventually show up on this video series as I'm cleaning up the shelves. So this is probably one of the rarest things that I have, and it was a press exclusive. So good luck to you collectors out there. The next thing I have... Oh, okay. Slide it over. The next thing I have is the mid fig statue. So this was one of those early things. This came out after that gray plush that I showed you, but this was the first actual statue for Oswald, aside of the one of him wearing the top hat or holding the paintbrush. And this was a good size figure. I got it at Disney's California Adventure when they were doing a preview. I believe it was a D23 or a press preview for Buena Vista Street, which was them retheming the original street at DCA. So when I went there, we were in the shops, and I saw they had the Oswald Mid statue, and I asked an employee, are we allowed to purchase things? Because we thought this was just a preview day. And the employee said, oh, everything is absolutely for sale. So right away, I pulled this one off the shelf, and he said, you're the first person to buy one of these. And I said, are you sure? And he's like, yes, absolutely. Like, they literally just let the public in right now, or the press, whichever group we were in. And he says, you're the first one. I said, well, I can't prove it. Like I told Jim Hill, I can't prove it, but this was the first Oswald mid statue sold in the Disney parks. So maybe I'll get it autographed one of these days. And I believe the name of the sculptor's underneath. Let me be very careful. You can't pull him off. He's on pegs. See, pegs. And the artist, Randy Noble. So Randy's done a lot of the mid statues, the mid-size and the big pig statues. So you're probably familiar with his work. So hopefully I'll cross paths with Randy and get him to sign this someday. So if you're a collector, try to get you one of these. Okay. And this one. So again, this is one of those illustrations that was based on the Eric Goldberg original designs. So you're going to see this color, this sort of tan color, and this pose on a lot of the early merch, and even merch from today of Oswald waving. So this was a print that they offered. So this will turn up on occasion. You'll also see this on water bottles and other items. But if you're an Oswald art fan and you like to hang things on the wall, try to track down one of these. I got it. Thank you. Okay. So this one is again from Japan, and this was a vinyl collectible doll. So Medicom has the license to do a lot of the Disney products. You might be familiar with Medicom's figures for Tron. They've done Alice in Wonderland. You name the cartoon and they probably made vinyl figures for it. So back when Disney got the rights for it, they made some vinyl dolls, or some vinyl figures. And this one is featuring the poses that was done by Oswald and Mickey. It was the only time that Walt Disney actually drew them together. So as you may know, he lost the rights to Universal in the Winkler sort of takeover of his characters, and that went to Universal. And then Walter Lantz eventually got the rights. I believe he won a card game and literally won the rights to Oswald. And Walter was Walt Disney and Walter Lantz. They were good friends. And Walt says, well, at least the rabbit's has a good owner now. So he sort of sent him a thank you letter. And it was Oswald sort of looking grumpy, and Mickey's on screen is sort of getting the big praise because Mickey was the new star and Oswald was a little bit grumpy about it. So no bad blood, but eventually they were reunited, and this was the vinyl figure 2 set that they made. So you're going to see some other vinyl collectible dolls, but this is a great set, especially if you want to have the two side by side. The next thing I have, let's see. This was a recent one. This was a present, and I believe this was for the 100th. So this was Oswald and Hortensia again, similar to the ears, and it's a cast member. So you can find these online. So there's a few items that were cast exclusive, and they feature Oswald and Hortensia. So if you really love Hortensia, and who doesn't, make sure to try to track some of these down. Let's see. Oh, yes, this one. So another pillow. So this was a cute one. An Oswald pillow. And it's very thick. It's not like the other ones, and it's not floppy at all. It's a pretty sturdy pillow. I believe this was from a D23. What's the collection for this one? It's in English and Japanese, so I believe this was available at all the parks. But get you an Oswald pillow. Is this the last thing I have? The last thing I have for today, this, again, it's all on the top shelf. This was actually a present from my sister-in-law. She got a pattern. I believe this was based on the sculptor Brilto, if I'm saying that right. I'll get it when I actually review the statues that I have. So this was based on the illustration that they made for a statue. And she did a needlepoint on it, a cross stitch. So these are actually different colored threads. I don't know if the camera's going to pick them up, but so this was handmade. So I'm very grateful for this. I'm very grateful for some original Oswald art. So I really appreciate it. So this is the first day of cleaning the Oswald collection. Thank you for following along, and I'm happy to share this collection with you. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments section, and I'll try to get back to you. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, we got a bonus last minute submission. I thought I had featured this one. This is also a top shelf figure. You can see there I'm already putting them back. This was the one that I thought was the Easter one. So a Japanese figure, and it was an Easter exclusive from a few years back. I think it still has the tag. Yeah, he still has the tag. So this was JAMA in Japan. And let's see when it came out. So if you're trying to find this figure, this was circa, it was, again, a Sega, it was a Sega claw price. This was from a few years back. It doesn't, unfortunately, have the year, not the one that I can see. But try to track them down. The color's gray on it, blue, really soft. And you can see, unlike some of the Oswalds, some of them have their smile on the side of their mouth, similar to Sonic or some of the other figures. So I think he looks really cute when he's like this. So he does have a little, I think there's a wire or a cardstock or something in the ears to hold him up a little bit. But this was the figure I forgot to share, another big plush figure. So Claw Price Oswald. Again, have a great day, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.